Hello and welcome to the Capital OTB Stakes Preview. Sully Crotty and Mike Callahan here. How are you, Mike?
What's going on, Sully?
Back on the podcast edition. Last week we were
in studio,
which was nice, a nice change of pace, but felt like it was necessary for that week. So now we're back on the podcast.
Yeah, we had a good description anyway of the field.
Yeah.
Obviously, we tried to take our chance against Monomoy Girl. She was terrific.
Yeah.
Wonder Godot, a horse that we've talked about numerous times on this show,
Mm-hmm.
decides to sprout wings and almost get the job done at 20-1 in that race. Finished a good second. We were rooting for Coach Rocks, obviously Roddy Valeni, close friends here at Capital TV. She ran an even seventh that day. Looks to be coming back in the Black Eyed Susan, as we were talking in the office. And if so, she's got a big chance to run very well in that Grade 2 event. Also, we talked about obviously Justify's performance on Handicapper's Report already and how good he looked. And, obviously there was a little bit of a minor injury going in, post Derby. And it looks to be something that was really, really minor. Looks to be behind the horse. But again, it's good to be back on the podcast and excited to go over a very good Belmont card. As we were walking up the stairs, we were talking about how good this is and how kudos to Naira for getting it on a slow weekend, in between, the Kentucky Derby and Preakness. This is a loaded card and definitely play on Saturday because there's going to be some good value.
Yeah, and, that is really a nice card in New York. But we're going to look at Arlington to kick things off. And the 7th race at Arlington is a mile. It's the 66th running of the Hanshin Cup. It's a Grade 3 event going a mile on the main track, and then we'll have 4 in New York this weekend for the stage preview. The first race we'll look at Belmont Park. It is race number 3. It is a Grade 3 event on the main track going 6.5 furlongs, and then race number 9 in New York. That is another Grade 3 event going a mile and a 16th on the turf course, and then the 2 big ones highlighting the end of the New York card. It's the Peter Pan and the Man o' War. Peter Pan is a Grade 3 event, a mile and an 1/8, 1 turn on the main track. And then the Man o' War is a mile and 3/8. That is a $700,000 Grade 1 event. They'll be going on the turf course in a very, very, very nice field in a Man o' War there. A lot of familiar company there, but we'll get to that in a little bit, and we'll kick things off in Arlington.
At Arlington, they opened up on Derby weekend. They open up the Friday before the Kentucky Derby. Glad to see them back. Obviously, the highlight being the Arlington Million coming up in the summer, and a lot to look forward to. Once we get past the Triple Crown, as we have Saratoga and also Arlington in their big weekend coming up in the summer. But they have a big one on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Hanshin Cup. It's $100,000. Very nice field of 10 horses in here, and it looks to be a wide open betting race. Starting out with number 1, Ghost Hunter, going out for Jamie Ness. 3-1 on the morning line. This horse is classified to me as an old grinder. 51 lifetime starts, 8 years old, 38 times in the money. You have to like that. Problem is, the last couple haven't been very good. Did race on the turf last time down at Laurel Park. Finished in even 5th. A horse that's going to come from mid-pack. There does seem to be some speed in here. You like the fact that the horse at the distance is 12 for 14 as far as being in the money, including 6 wins. But the fact is, the horse hasn't won since July of 2017, hasn't won in 6 starts. I have the horse just outside of my top 3 at 3-1. To me, offers too short of a value.
Yeah, I think the horse can come back and run big, and did win here last summer, as you said, at Arlington Park. They went to the Arlington Million, really was overmatched there, and I thought on paper it looks really bad, but really didn't run bad. That was a really nice field with Deauville, and Beach Patrol ended up winning that race. But as you said, really has tailed off a little bit. Should have won a couple of those allowance races, but comes back to Arlington where the horse seems to be comfortable at a distance where the horse has run comfortable throughout the career.
Number 2 is Matroon, 20-1 on the morning line. A horse that's searching for 3 in a row, has been razor sharp, but it's been against far less quality that this horse is going to see on Saturday. Last time running in that optional claimer, came from off of it just to get up and win that race by a neck. A horse, again, that's going to be coming from off the pace. We haven't touched upon the speed horses yet, but there does seem to be a lot of speed in here. On the stretch out, though, from 6 furlongs last time out to the mile distance, you would think this horse would like to go a little bit farther with the off the pace scenario. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sold, and especially since this horse has been facing so much weaker, stepping up into this really acid test you would classify it as. To to me, I just had to pass.
Yeah, I also passed here. But the beginning of the career, it looks like this horse was going to be the real deal. You know, a WinStar bred horse. Chad Brown was the trainer. Shad Bell owned the horse. Came in third in the Cigar Mile behind Tonalist, who also won the Belmont, as we know. And was running okay in the Naira circuit. Went down to Gulfstream Park. Ran okay in a grade 3 there. And then really, as soon as Chad gave it up, kind of tailed off a little bit. You know, was struggling in some optional claiming races. Shadwell dropped. Was claimed from Shadwell, too. So it did win 2 in a row. Should have been 3 in a row. So, you know, if this horse can revert back to how it ran in Cigar Mile and down in South Florida earlier on in the career, possibly a shot to complete some superfectas and maybe a triple. But, you know, I agree. It's getting a pretty big acid test here.
And number 3 is Christian C. going off for Wayne Catalano. You're going to get Mitch Morel aboard, 6-1 on the morning line. This horse to me is quite interesting. Hasn't been seen since November of 2017. Back at Churchill Downs in that Grade 3 River City against the likes of some very good horses. Shining Copper, who had a really nice champions meet down at Gulfstream Park. Also Kasaki and Revved Up. Finished 6th, but was a close-up 6th. Only beaten 2.5 to Shining Copper that day. If you go back to a couple races, 3-4 back, both of those were victory at Arlington, albeit they were on the turf. Going to the synthetic, this horse has raced twice on the synthetic, does have a win. To me, the buyers fit well in here. The only question is, off of the layoff, is this horse going to be ready? But Wayne Catalano is off to a very sharp start so far. Has 3 starts down there, a win in a couple seconds. So have to believe this horse is a player at 6-1.
Yeah, I would think is a player here off the layoff. That's just a little bit of a question mark here. But this horse, as you said, has raced against some solid horses. 2 back at Keeneland in the fall meet in October. Race against Soudois and Heart to Heart, Battle of Rocks. Very nice field there in that Grade 1 event. Ran into Grade 3 last time out. I think the layoff will be okay for this horse, but too many question marks here. But the one positive thing you already pointed out is Wayne Catalano. Not just is on fire here so far, he's had a pretty nice 2018 up to this point.
Number 4 is Great Wide Open, going out for Connor Murphy. Channing Hill's going to be aboard. 15-1 on the morning line. This horse does have a win 3 starts back in that optional claimer on the turf course at Fairgrounds. The last couple have been duds in stakes company, though, at Aqueduct and Belmont. But the horse does switch to the synthetic. The horse does have a win, but only 1 win in 9 lifetime starts on the synthetic. To me, is a little bit of a question mark. I think that's why you're seeing 15-1. At best, probably a horse that finishes out the tries in the supers. That seems to be the limit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But if you look throughout this horse's past performances, his race against some solid horses. Synchrony, Misunderstood, Will Call, Pink Lloyd, Tower of Texas, Green Mask, Disco Partner, Carafa. So this horse has raced against some solid horses in some big-time races, some high optional claimers. But I think the switch back to the main track is just a little bit too big of a question mark for me to take at such a big price.
Number 5 is Well Abled, going out for Larry Ovelli, who's off to a very sharp start at Arlington so far. 25% so far as winning goes, but his 8 starts, 7 of them being first, second, or third. So definitely note that Jose Valdivia Jr. is going to be aboard. This horse is speed, and speed. So you know, the fact that this horse is going to play Catch Me If You Can, if you look in that workout on May 6th, nice bullet, 46 flat for 4 furlongs, first of 42 that day. The horse last time out showed speed at Golden Gate over the synthetic, just got caught in the Lost in the Fog race to Tribal Storm. Thought that was a good performance. You go 2 starts back, ran a hole in the wind. 107 Bayard won that race by 7 lengths against some very nice horses at Turfway. Likes the synthetic, is 5 for 7 as far as wins goes over the synthetic. Does have 2 wins in 2 lifetime starts at Arlington. A lot to like. You like the speed, but the problem is going to have to face some other speed in here, notably the 8, who looks to be very speedy as well. Do you think he's going to get caught up in a little bit of a tussle, or do you think this horse is going to get alone with a very easy lead and potentially wire him?
You know, that is just the one big question mark. Obviously, the synthetic piece is just a huge plus here. The 2 for 2 over the surface is a huge plus, and the 42% winning percentage at the early stage of this meet for the jockeys is phenomenal. 11 times in the money and 12 starts with 5 wins. So a lot of good things pointing in the right direction. If this horse gets into a speed duel, that can be a concern. We've seen this horse get into some speed duels in some stakes races and die. We've seen the horse win in some stakes races. So a nice $340,000 purchase out of Shackelford. I definitely think it's a must-use in some of your exotics, but I'm going to go against in the win column.
Number 6 is Crewman, 20-1 on the morning line. actually the defending champion in this race. The last win this horse had was in this event on May 13th back in 2017. Was able to sit just off the pace, get up to win that race by a neck at 25-1 that day. Got a career best 98 Beyer. The problem is this horse really hasn't shown much form since then. The best performance being 2 starts back, a third place performance, 2 well-abled, beaten 8 lengths, got an 88 Beyer. This horse has to improve immensely. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, and I had to take a pass.
Right, and a lot of these horses have raced in some big-time races and raced against some solid horses, and this is another one of these horses. Won this race last year, as you said, at 25-1, and then went on to face the likes of Hoagie and Command and Limousine Liberal. We just saw what that horse did a week ago. And this gives me a little bit of a Limousine Liberal vibe. Maybe this is just the race and the course he likes. Because Limousine Liberal won the Churchill Downs 2 years in a row. Not comparing the 2 horses at all, but maybe if you like to go that direction, this could be the horse for you here. But I had to take a pass overall.
Number 7 is Harmac going out for Grant Forrester. James Graham is going to be aboard 20-1 on the morning line. This horse was off of a layoff last time out, reappeared at Keeneland over a sloppy surface going 6 furlongs. Really missed the break, was 18 lengths back. Closed actually pretty nicely. To finish 4th, only beaten 5 lengths. I thought that was an encouraging performance. If you look as far as back class goes, does have that decent 4th place finish against Awesome Slew. And the player in that Grade 3 event at Churchill Downs, second off the layoff, should be much fresher in here. If you're looking for a little bit of a long shot, I think the 7 is a little bit of a player at 20-1.
Yeah, I agree with you there. This horse definitely can be a little bit of a player here. Has raced in some big-time races against some more well-known names. Another case of this in this race. And to me, I think the closing speed is going to be deadly. As you said, we already talked about one of the speedy horses here in Great Wide Open. We haven't touched upon the other speed in here. But maybe a little bit of a closing kick can complete your superfecta here at a really nice price. Just a horse that looks like it can close the gap. We've seen that throughout the career in some big-time races, and could be a little ignored on the odds board, so you're going to get a price with this horse.
Number 8 is Gone Ghost, 9-2 on the morning line, searching for 4 in a row. Last time out, raced in a state-bred stakes race at Hawthorne Park. Showed speed that day. Was able to wire him, beating him by 2 1/4. A horse that has 4 lifetime starts at Arlington, 2 of them being wins, the other ones being 2nd and 3rd place performances. So it's been in the money 4 times at Arlington and 4 lifetime starts. You have to like that. Problem is, just like we talked about with Well Able, the number 5, this horse shows speed. Only one way for this horse to win, to go and get the lead. Well Able's not going to let that happen. I have a feeling that the 5 and the 8 are going to get themselves into a little bit of an early tussle, setting it up for the closers, so I had to take a pass on the 8 at 9-2.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If I had to pick one of the speed horses, I would pick the 5 over the 8 here. And this is a horse that definitely is ready to go in the graded stakes company. Has looked really impressive in some non-graded stakes, some high allowances, some high optional claimers. So definitely a horse that's ready to take this next step into the graded stakes company. Has been working extremely well. To me, if I had to pick one of the 2 speed horses, I would side with the 5, and I did within my picks. So that's how I feel on this horse. But this horse definitely has the capability of running big in a graded stakes event, and you're getting a nice price.
Absolutely. If you just take a look at the body of work, the horse is 5 for 6 as far as wins goes in the last 6 starts. So it's not that this horse can't win. It's just we try to break it down by race dynamics. The pace looks to be really, really hot in here, and the 8 looks to be right in the thick of things. So one of them's obviously going to back up, potentially both of them will. But again, it's just one of those situations where this horse is coming in razor sharp form, but just seems to be up against it as far as race dynamics goes. On to number 9, Master Marion, going out for Wesley Ward. Interesting to see Corey Nakatani in town. This horse is at 5-1. Last time out was coming off of a layoff. Hadn't been seen since November. Reappeared at Keeneland over the turf course, that yielding turf course. Showed speed that day, just got caught late. But it was a nice second place performance, only beaten a half a length. Got a nice 97 Beyer. I like the workout since then on April 29th at Keeneland. I think Corey Nakatani coming in is even more clever. Wesley Ward's been winning on everything. I don't think you're going to get 5-1, but I think this horse is a major player going on to the synthetic.
Yeah, and I might be kicking myself. I have this horse so low into my mix, and I like Wesley Ward, as you said. He's just on a different level right now. Nakatani coming into town is obviously a big plus for this horse, and I'm excited to see how this horse does going back away from the grass again. And I'm going to make the first start here at Arlington, but is racing some huge races. And the break they made, and this horse is racing against some solid horses in the NYRA circuit at Saratoga. Showed should have broke the maiden there, and then went to Belmont Park, lost to a really nice horse in White Flag before it broke the maiden the next time out. But you could tell this horse is ready to step up, and really has been solid throughout the whole career, is running the money every attempt. So definitely a must use. Again, I might be kicking myself. I have the horse so low in my mix.
Number 10 is Western Elegance, 12-1 on the morning line, a winner last time out. But that was at Churchill Downs back in November of 2017, so it's coming off of a layoff. That is a question mark going into it. The works have been pretty decent, notably that one on May 7th at Arlington Park. Nice 4 furlong work. The Beyers are just slightly lower than the tops in here, but I think this horse is going to get a really nice setup. Has been at Arlington Park 8 starts. 4 have been wins, 4 have been second-place performances. So if you're looking for a horse for the course, this horse loves it here. I know off the layoff is a little bit of a concern, but as a 12-1, I'm not sure if we're going to get that. I think this horse is a major player if the speed's going to be as fast as we think it's going to be. I like the 10 Western Elegance a lot.
Yeah, I have this horse right in my mix as well, and I think the outside stall won't be a problem at all, because this horse doesn't need the break to get to the lead. We've seen this horse run huge from behind the pace and just off the pace. So I think the 10 spot's a perfect spot. Let the 8 go, and then you'll be able to move in with the 8 moving in. The 9's going to go as well. The 5's going to go. So this horse is going to have plenty of room to get in right in the thick of things, and it's a serious player here at 12-1.
All right, pick time here in the Grade 3 Hanshin Cup.
I went 1, 5, 10, and 9 here. Again, looking at it again, I would like to put the 9 a little higher, but I sided with Ghost Hunter here, and I think this horse can come back a little bit. I think if it runs like it did 3 starts back with that 88 Beyer, this horse can win from a stalking roll. I have the 10 in the mix as well from a stalking roll. We just touched upon him. And the 5, I was saying it throughout the whole when we went over this race. If I had to pick a speed horse out of the 8 and the 5, I would pick the 5, just because this horse has been sharp the last 4 or 5 starts and loves this Arlington surface. 2 for 2 here. My long shot in here would be Matrew. I put Matrew in as my long shot just because sometimes horses like momentum. Should have won 3 in a row. I know it's stepping way up. I know it's going to be a bomb here, but I'm just going to put in as a long shot play in the greatest stakes at Arlington.
Yeah, I went 9, 10, 5 in here. I like the number 9, Master Marion. I know you just touched upon the horse and we talked about it. Is 10 for 10 as far as being in the money. Hopefully we don't jinx the horse like we did Mr. Misunderstood when he had an 8-race winning streak. But, the horse, I like the comeback at Keeneland. I know it's switching to the synthetic and is a little bit of an unknown, but the fact is that turf horses usually like the synthetic and vice versa, so you have to believe the horse is going to translate to the synthetic pretty well. Wesley Ward's been winning on everything. I think is going to sit a nice outside trip just off of the speed, and this pace does seem to be hot. You get first jump on the closures at 5-1. Corey Nakatani being aboard is quite interesting as well. Underneath the 10, who we both like as a little bit of a long shot, 12-1 on the morning line, Western Elegance. I think this horse is going to sit a really nice trip. It does have that race last time out, which was victorious in that 2 other than, but again, off the layoff is the only question. Likes the course at Arlington, is probably the horse for the course in this race. Use that horse in second, and then Well-Abled. Like you said, of the speedsters, I think Well-Abled's probably the better of them. Has shown some really nice victories, 2 and 3 back. Last time out, just got caught, but it's going to show speed in here. Play Catch Me If You Can under Jose Valdivia, who's been winning on everything, it seems like, at Arlington. Use that horse in the 3rd spot. And then, if you're looking for a long shot, I thought Harmac, the 7, was an interesting horse to use. Last time out was off of a long layoff. Showed some really good closing kick in that race to finish 4th, only beaten 5 lengths. I think second off the layoff should be much more fit at 20-1. To use that horse as my long shot play in the Arlington feature on Saturday. All right, we'll switch right now and take a look at the big card on Saturday at Belmont, as they do have 4 graded stakes races. And we'll start it off with race number 3 on Saturday. It's the Vagrancy, a Grade 3 event, $200,000 purse. Nice field of 6 horses in here, starting out with number 1, Sounds Delicious, going out for Linda Rice. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard. 2-1 on the morning line. This horse does have nice victories, 2 and 3 back. As far as lifetime goes, 5 wins in 7 lifetime starts. It does have that nice second-place performance last time out, 2 Holiday Disguise. Who is your morning line favorite in here, and we'll touch upon a little bit later. This horse is speedy. Shown speed in the last 3. Last time out, tried to wire him, just got caught by Holiday Disguise. That was going 7. Cuts back to the 6.5. Should only help Sounds Delicious in here. Problem is, it looks like the 2 and the 3 are going to apply some pressure, notably the 3 Chalian, who we'll talk about a little bit later on. As far as race dynamics goes, I thought it was a little bit against this horse. I couldn't use in my mix, but obviously, with the body of work this horse has, looks like a major player.
Yeah, I agree. I think this horse is very beatable here. And Linda's another one, like Wesley Ward, she's phenomenal so far, winning 23% of her mounts. You get Jose Ortiz, another great ad for this horse. So I just think because of the Linda, the Jose connection, and then that's why I think the horse is 2-1. I played against the horse on top. But this horse beat a really, really, really nice horse out of the Rapoli barn and Spice Lady, who did win a stakes race at Gulfstream Park the next time out. So, and this horse beat that horse by 8 lengths, wiring the field. So that is the one thing positive you could say if you're on board with this horse. But to me, I'm going to try to beat the horse with some other speed in this race, and there is a ton of speed in the 6.5 furlong sprint.
Number 2 is Kirby's Penny going out for Wesley Ward. Johnny V is going to be aboard 8-1 on the morning line. This horse was coming off of a long layoff, reappeared at Keeneland on opening weekend, won that 2 other than optional claimer very impressively, sat just off of the pace, was able to kick clear, win that race by 4 1/4, got a 90 buyer, career best buyer in here, steps up to grade 3 company now. A horse that likes the distance, should be sitting just off of the 1 you have to believe in here. Also the 3 is going to show some speed in here, may get caught up in the mess, but nonetheless at a big price, and the horse is 3 for 4 as far as wins goes in the last 4 starts. Maybe an interesting horse to use at a price.
Yeah, this horse definitely is interesting. This horse beat a horse that I liked at Keeneland last time out in Golden Dome or so. Kirby's Penny is this horse that we're pretty familiar with here in the Naira circuit. Seems to run huge at Saratoga every time. Did win at Saratoga twice last summer. One of them in the slop. The other one was an allowance race. The horse was a big favorite that day. So 8-1 is definitely a very intriguing price for that red hot trainer we talked about in Arlington and Wesley Ward.
Number 3 is Chalian, 5-2 on the morning line. You're going to get Arnold Delacour and Paco teaming up. Paco and Speed, we talk about it pretty much every time we go on. This seems to be that dynamic. Last time out was coming off of a long layoff. Hadn't been seen since that grade 2 Rivers run at Keeneland. Reappeared in that stakes race down at Laurel back in April 21st. Sat just off of the pace, kicked clear, won that race by a length against a couple nice horses, including Shortcakes. Got an 88 buyer. The workouts have been pretty solid. If you're figuring second off the layoff, this horse is going to be even more fit, more sharp, ready to go. Should be speedy with Sounds Delicious. I have the horse in the second spot. I believe that the pace is going to be quick. It's kind of like we talked about last race, where it looks like they're all going to kind of go for the lead. I think Holiday Sky is going to get a nice setup. But Cheyenne is an interesting horse to use with Paco and Speed at 5-2.
Yeah, I have this horse right in my mix, and this horse raced huge at Keeneland last fall against a horse that I really liked at the spring meet this year, and Finley's Lucky Charm, who did win on Memorial Day at Keeneland. I believe that was opening weekend, so that's just a positive sign for me there. Just really could not get to the wire. Two starts back at the 7 furlongs, went to the 6 furlongs, won. So I think the 6.5 is still a good spot for this horse. And we always harp at Paco is the most dangerous when he has a speedy horse, and this is a speed horse.
Number 4 is Ascertain going out for Todd Pletcher. Javier Castellano is going to be aboard. A winner 2 back and a 1 other than optional claimer down at Gulfstream Park during the Champions Meet. It was a solid performance. Got a 91 buyer. Stepped up against Stakes Company last time out at Charlestown on their big weekend with the Charlestown Classic. Lost to a nice horse in Lake Pontchartrain, who I thought ran a really nice race. Only lost to Lake Pontchartrain by 3 1/4. So I thought that was a decent enough effort. Cuts back to a 6.5, which I think this horse will like. May sit a pretty nice trip. For me, is a clever long shot at 6-1.
Yeah, definitely a clever long shot here for Todd and Javier, and this horse has been the favorite the last 5 starts it's competed in, and as you said, lost to a really nice horse at Charlestown. So I think the 6-1 price is really interesting here, especially with Javier aboard, and you always have a chance with Todd Pletcher as your trainer, and the horse has been working excellent as well, and only 1 ward posted at Belmont. That's really not a bad work at all. And I say this every time we talk about Todd in the graded stakes. The amount of graded stakes starts he has, he's winning 16% of those, and that's just a really impressive stat. It's still, every time we talk about it, it gets more impressive for me. So it's a really interesting horse at 6-1.
And number 5 is Swing and Sway going out for Ron Moquette. 12-1 on the morning line. This horse, last time out, won a stakes race down at Oaklawn in the slop going 6 furlongs. Sat just off of the pace, got the job done by a half length. Buyers-wise, though, seems a touch below. And if you're looking at a lot of these horses, they're cutting back in distance. This horse is actually stretching out. So if this horse ends up getting into a little bit of a speed battle with some other horses that seem to be a little bit better quality horses in here, I'm not sure if the 5 is going to be able to hang in there. That's swing and sway at 12-1.
I agree with you there, and last time the horse won in the slop at Oak Lawn, and with the other speed in here, I agree. I just think I'd rather go with the other speed in this race. This horse is going to try to get to the lead, but if it does, there's other horses that I trust more in this spot with some speed than the number 5 Swing and Sway.
Number 6 is Holiday Disguise, 9-5 on the morning line. Linda Rice, Red Ortiz Jr. is going to be aboard. Winner last time out in the Grade 3 Distaff Handicap at Aqueduct. Beating Sounds Delicious by a length that day, and also a very nice horse in Divine Miss Gray, who's done some nice things. Horse for the Course has raced twice at Belmont Park, both of them being victories, very impressive victories, 1-for-1 at the distance. I think it's going to get a very nice setup in here. Looks to be very speedy, as I touched upon a little bit earlier. If that's the case, Holiday Disguise is going to be closing late.
Yeah, this horse is going to be tough to beat with the only closing speed, and I like to try to find a closer in these sprint races, and these seem to be running a lot better than they have in the past, and this horse is cutting back. I think the cutback won't be an issue at all. This horse is going to have a stalking roll and it's going to have plenty left in the tank for Linda Rice, and this horse has been working phenomenal over the Belmont surface, including a bullet work on April 19th, so this horse is going to be tough to beat, and it's deserving 9-5.
All right, what are your thoughts here in the Grade 3 vacancy?
I went 3, 1 and 6 here. I'm going to take a shot here with the Paco and Speed here because we're going to get the best value here. I think the 1 and I think the 2 lenders are going to get hammered down. You can't get much more hammered down than 9-5 to 2-1. But I'm going to try Paco and Speed. I think that's where you're going to get your best value out of the Speed horses here. And again, this horse raced huge against a horse I'm really high on in Finley's Lucky Charm. 3 starts back. Too tough for me to pass here. And then I think Kirby's Penny as a long shot, I think at 8-1, that's an absolute steal if you're looking to complete some trifectas and some exactas. I think this horse is very sneaky at 8-1. That would be my long shot playing here for Red Hot Trainer and John Velasquez who's off to a really nice start at Belmont Park to begin their spring meet.
I saw it 6-3 and 2. I did go with Holiday Disguise. I know 9-5 is going to be short. You're right. The Linda Rice horses are going to get hammered. I'm actually opposed to the 1.
Yeah.
Sounds Delicious. I think it's going to get caught up in a wicked speed duel. I think Holiday Disguise is going to be the benefactor of this race in here, and I think it's going to be closing late, get the job done under Rod Ortiz Jr. Underneath, your horse that you like, Chalian, I think is going to run a big race in here. If Paco's able to sit just off of the speed, I like it a little bit better, but if he's right in the mix of things, I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but nonetheless, at 5-2 offers some good value. And I have Kirby's Penny in the 3rd spot. I think the horse, like you said, off that victory last time out and that 2 other than optional claimer, I thought that was a pretty good performance. Got a nice 90 Beyer career best that day. I think you're going to see some good things. This horse should be sitting just off of the pace, as well as Sounds Delicious. Probably go out there and try to wing it. And also the 5, who's a little bit of a long shot, and you can classify as cheap speed, probably go out as well. And also, there's 6 horses in here, but Ascertain is a little bit of a horse that I'd like to use in here too, but we'll see if he's able to get it done. He put his name in the hat in here at 6-1, but it's a very interesting 6-horse field, very deep in here. That's the Grade 3 vacancy, race number 3 at Belmont on Saturday. All right, we're going to take it to our first break. When we come back, we'll go over more of the card at Belmont, so stick with us.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touch-Tone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
Welcome back to the Capital OTB Stakes Preview. Mike Callahan alongside me, Sully Crotty. We are through 2 of the 5. We took a look at 1 at Arlington, the feature on Saturday. Also took a look at 1 of 4 graded stakes races at Belmont on a really, really stacked Saturday card. We're up to race number 9. It's the Grade 3 Begay. $200,000 purse. They're going to go a mile and 16th on the inner turf. Nice field of 7 horses in here, starting out with number 1. My Impression going out for Sugar McGahee. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard. Last time out, it was coming off of a long layoff, hadn't been seen since November of 2017. Took money that day against the likes of Uni and 55 at Aqueduct in that stakes race. Really didn't get off to a sharp start. Had to go really wide in that race. Was 5 wide in upper stretch. Flattened out a little bit. Kind of to be expected off of a long layoff. You figure second off the layoff should be much more fit. I thought that fourth place finish was okay. But if this horse is able to regain any of those past performances against the likes of Lady Eli, 4-Star Crook, which we saw run a really nice race at Keeneland, also Aquila, Lights in Paris. This horse has faced the likes of some very nice horses in her division. I think there's a lot to like, especially second off the layoff, from my impression.
Yeah, I have this horse right in the thick of things here with my selections, and I think the horse second off the layoff is going to be huge, as you said, and I think can go back to how this horse raced against 4-Star Crook and Lady Eli. Has also raced against Dickinson. So this horse is raced against some solid horses in some big-time races, so I think fits in very nicely here. And this horse did win a couple starts back at a very competitive Kentucky Downs meet, which is right after the Saratoga meet. So I think this is a very interesting horse at 4-1. I like the connections. I love Jose Ortiz on the grass. So definitely a horse to use, I think, in your mix.
Number 2 is Inflexibility, 8-5 in the morning line. One of 2 Chad Brown horses in here, and Chad Brown looks to be stacked in this race with number 2 Inflexibility, and we'll also touch upon the number 6 later on, a Raving Beauty at 2-1 on the morning line. But again, Chad Brown, Klarovich, Javier Castellano, enough said there. Obviously, top-notch connections. This horse was coming off of a long layoff as well. Won that optional claimer very impressively at Aqueduct in a really nice time. Got a 91 buyer, another one that's going to be second off the layoff. You have to expect will improve off of that race. Should be sitting just off of the pace and is a big player in here at 8-5.
Yeah, I have this horse. Out of the 2 Chads, I'd rather use this horse, the number 2 with Javier Klarovich. And obviously, this horse is raced. I think the races stand out for themselves. This horse should have won a couple. It lost, and quite possibly could have lost one that it won, especially the one at Woodbine. He very easily could have lost that race, but I think could have won that race at Belmont. The grade 2-3 starts back, I thought had a really nice trip. Just really, the finish line came a little too early there. So this horse, I think, is a serious player. Obviously, with the 8-5, the connections, but out of the 2 Chads, I personally like this horse just a little bit better.
Number 3 is Tricky Escape, 8-1 on the morning line. An interesting horse that's been in the money, 12 of 15 starts lifetime. 1-2 back, closing out the 2017 campaign at Churchill Downs, winning that Grade 3 event at a little over 5-2 that day, beating a nice horse in Fairpoint and also Coco Channel. Last time out was coming off of that layoff, racing the Grade 2 event down at Tampa Bay against 4-Star Crook, Proctor's Ledge, who we saw come back with a victory, and then La Coronel. That's a solid group of horses we just named. Finished 6th, only beaten 3.5, got a 90 buyer. Expect this horse going to a new barn to possibly be able to improve off that 90 buyer. But again, on the change to Gerald Iverson, who's 0-2 so far in 2018, I was a little weary at 8-1. To me is a little too short.
Yeah, the price definitely is short here, but as you said, this horse has raced against some solid horses throughout the career, including last time out. I'm taking a shot here. I don't want to give anything away until the picks, but I think the 2 horses coming off the layoff that we talked about already in the early stages of this race, I think they can run some big numbers here, and I have this horse completing some trifectas and supers at 8-1. It definitely is a short price for this horse, but I think we'll sneak up a little bit on the odds board, and you'll get a better price than 8-1.
Number 4 is Lido, going out for Kieran McLaughlin, 10-1 on the morning line. Godolphin, Kieran, and Luis Saez. This horse is searching for 3 in a row. Last time out, won that 3 other than allowance race at Keeneland very impressively, beating a couple nice horses, including Conde Partiero. Horse has raced 3 times at Belmont. 2 of them have been in the money, including a victory. I think this horse is a little interesting at 10-1. He's going to need to sit a nice trip, but normally positions himself quite well. Should be sitting just off of the speed. And if that's the case at 10-1, you have a lot to like in here. Needs to improve, but nonetheless offer some value.
Definitely does need to improve, and the value is there for Godolphin and Kieran and McLaughlin. So Louis Saez is still looking for his first win after probably his best meet. Actually was the best meet ever at Gulfstream Championship meet, so still looking for his first win, but he's still riding pretty solid in New York, and he always does. So these are the type of races he wins at some big prices. The graded stakes on the turf, he always wins these in the Ira Circuit, so definitely a horse to look out for a very nice trainer and owner.
Number 5 is Broken Bridle, 20-1 on the morning line. Trevor McCarthy is going to be aboard, a winner 2 back and a 2 other than optional claimer. Over the turf course at Laurel. Last time out came off of a long layoff. Finished third, closing that day. Thought it was a decent performance. Got an 84 buyer. To me, though, has just been facing so much weaker than the group in here that it really is going to be an acid test. The one thing you will like, though, is has raced 7 times at the distance, has been in the money all 7. So if you're looking for a little bit of a long shot, is definitely going to need everything to go his way on Saturday. But nonetheless, at 20-1, may offer some value at tries and supers. That's Broken Bridle, the number 5 horse.
Yeah, this horse definitely is stepping up against way better, and these horses have raced against much better, as we touched upon already. So this horse is definitely getting a big test in class here. So as you said, the one thing you can like about this horse is it runs huge in the money every single time at the distance. So I think the stretch out is what the horse needs again, going from the mile. And was a big price in that $100,000 race at Laurel, but again, just a little bit overmatched on paper.
Number 6 is a Ravens Beauty, going out for Chad Brown. Rod Ortiz Jr. is going to be aboard, going out for Michael Dubb as well. 2-1 on the morning line. This horse, to me, is quite interesting. I have in the top spot, and again, this is the best thing about us doing the show is, I love the Euros, obviously.
Yeah.
We've talked about it time and time again. This horse has been racing in Group 1 company overseas in Italy and Germany. Have to like that last stop performance, albeit that was back in October of 2017, but it was a nice second-place performance. This horse is going to be forwardly placed. I've watched a couple of the replays. Has a really nice kick down the stretch. You have to like the workouts. And at 2-1, it looks like to be a flip of the coin between which Chad Brown horse is going to win. He's done quite well with these Euros coming over for their North American debut, and at 2-1, maybe the second choice, around 9-5, 8-5, and I think this horse may be able to beat in flexibility, but nonetheless is another player in here as well.
Yeah, you always have a chance here when you have Chad Brown coming overseas. This horse is dropping a lot of poundage. Rod Ortiz is obviously attracted to the mount for a reason. So, and Michael Dubb. Michael Dubb, he's always a leading owner in the NYRA circuit every meet. So, horse has been working well. And the first-time starters, Chad's winning 23% of his races. So that's just a really impressive stat. This horse is every bit worth of 2-1.
Number 7 is Team of Teams. Jimmy Jerkins. Johnny V is going to be aboard, 8-1 on the morning line. A winner, 2 starts back in that stakes race down at Gulfstream Park. Beat a nice horse in Grizzle and also Island Reward that day. Got a 91 buyer last time out, though. Showed some speed, faded to finish 7th against Lull and On Leave in that Grade 3 Honey Fox down at Gulfstream. Off of a little bit of a freshening, I think this horse is interesting. The fact that this horse has speed, but the problem is there looks to be some other speed in here as well. The couple Chads that are going to be in here in flexibility, and also the horse we just touched upon, the number 6 horse, a Raving Beauty, could possibly do this horse into defeat.
Yeah, that is the one thing. There's other speed in here that you could like over Team of Teams. But this horse has raced against some solid horses and some solid races. Most notably, race against Stormy Victoria. Obviously, didn't like that distance at Gulfstream. The 7.5 2-turn is just tough. And then raced here at Belmont in a $100,000 race against Mortica. So this horse has raced against, as I said, some solid horses. I agree. I think there's better speed in this race. But Jimmy Jerkins is on fire so far in the early stages of this meet. He's running the money 5 times in 8 starts. So, and Johnny B, he's riding terrific throughout the whole year. So possibly could be a long shot play, and that is my long shot play in this race is Team of Teams.
All right. You kind of alluded to your long shot play. What are your picks here? It looks like Chad Brown's stacked in this spot.
He really is stacked. And, I'm going to try to be one of them, but Chad most easily can run 1-2 in this race, and we've seen him do that time and time again. But I went 1-3-2 here. I'm going to try to beat Raving Beauty. Probably going to come back and kick me here, but I like the 2 horses coming off a little bit of refreshing, the second off those layoffs. So for Shug McGahee, I think this horse has been working extremely well for a closing horse. I think this horse is going to be more forwardly placed, knowing Chad's got some 2 horses that kind of want to get to the lead and close. And there's also some closing speed, width, and flexibility and tricky escape. So I think if Jose puts this horse in a nice stalking role, can be pretty interesting at the top of the stretch. And then I went tricky escape just a little bit. This horse is going to sneak up on the odds board off the trainer change. So I went 1-3-2, and then the long shot with the 7.
I went 6-2-1. I think Chad's going to be 1-2 in this spot. I do like the European input, though. He's done quite well with Euros coming over for their North American debut, as Sully touched upon with their percentage. I like the fact that this horse has been facing facing the likes of Group 1 and Group 2 quality over in Italy and Germany. And the workouts have been strong for Michael Dubb and the connection. So see if that horse can get the job done underneath in flexibility. Wouldn't be shocked to see this horse win. Looking for 3 in a row. Really ran a nice race to kick off the 2018 campaign at Aqueduct. A nice 91 buyer. Had that horse in the second spot, and also my impression, your top choice. I think it's right in the mix. Been in the money 11 of 18 starts lifetime, and should improve off of that 4th place finish last time out, second off the layoff. A little bit of a long shot play. Went with Lido, the number 4 horse, 10-1 on the morning line. Godolphin Kieran, Luis Size, another one searching for 3 in a row. I liked that performance last time in that three other than allowance race. And again, stiff competition in here. Does look to be a really salty group, but Lido usually positions himself quite well. Could definitely get a piece in here at a price. So I saw it 6, 2, 1, and 4 in the Grade 3 Big Gay. All right, we will switch to race number 10 on Saturday, which is the Grade 3 Peter Pan, a race that is normally a prep for the Belmont Stakes, and you're going to see a couple notable names that we've touched upon time and time again on our stakes preview show. Solid 8-horse field. Number 1 is going to be Core Beliefs at 2-1. Peter Urton. Interested in seeing Tyler is going to come cross country to ride this horse at Belmont. A winner 2 starts back to break the maiden against the likes of some decent horses. Got a nice 90 buyer. Showed speed that day. Last time out did run in the Santa Anita Derby against the Kentucky Derby winner Justify and also Both the Oro. Finished 3rd in that race. Was beaten 9.5, but really has to be flattered by Justify running so well in the Kentucky Derby. If you're 9 lengths off of Justify, you have to believe you have a shot in here, and that's why I think the connections are coming over, and Tyler Bass is coming over as well. 2-1 is a little bit short, but nonetheless, I think the horse will like a 1.8 miles. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the horse is going to like the distance, and definitely really too short of a price here for me to take on top. And I get it, the horse raced 3rd against Justify and Bolt Toro, but really was not a bad race at all. The horse had a nice stalking roll, but that's a tough ask. You break your maiden, then you got to run against Justify. That's just a really tough ask. But I agree, just really too short on the morning line here at 2-1 for me to play on top.
Number 2 is Zing Zang. Steve Asmussen, Red Ortiz Jr. is going to be aboard. 10-1 for this horse. Blinkers are going to go on, which I like to see. I've liked this horse a couple times as my long shot play in the stakes races, notably in the Rebel and also the Bluegrass. Both of those performances weren't very good. 6th place in the Rebel. Last time out, finished 9th, beaten 9 1/4 to Good Magic and Flame Away. Getting 80 buyers consistently, but really hasn't made a major impact. Maybe the blinkers will help this horse. Out of Tapit, this horse is going to like a 1.8 miles. 10-1 to me offers a little bit of value, but for me, if I'm going to play this horse at all, it's got to be 15-1 or higher.
Yeah, this horse definitely needs to be 15-1, and you can look at the past performances this horse has raced against 6 Kentucky Derby horses that were in the Kentucky Derby just a week ago. So I think the blinkers on will help. Steve's 18% winning percentage when he does that, but another horse that I think is just a little short in 10-1 in most eyes is not short, but for this horse, to me, I think it's just too short. But I like the closing kick this horse is going to have on this long 1-turn mile and an 1/8 race.
Number 3 is Just Whistle. Michael Matz, Joel Rosario is going to be aboard. 5-1 for this horse who broke the maiden last time out in the 3rd career start. Is going to be facing winners for the first time and also graded stakes company for the first time. But off that win last time out, was able to come from off the pace, kick clear by 1.5 lengths in the 1.16 distance at Keeneland. Stretches out to 1.8 miles. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Really, if you go back to that 2-back race, that's the most notable one where the horse finished a 1/2 length off of Hofberg, who really was a wise guy horse going into the Derby. Didn't run awful in the Kentucky Derby, so you have to believe that this horse fits really nicely in here. Facing winners for the first time, a little bit of a question mark, but he's going to like the distance as well at 1.8 miles.
Yeah, definitely going to like the distance here, and that's why I have the horse right in the mix. I like Michael Matz, and just the 2-back race was really, really impressive against Hofberg. So you got to like that, and you got to like how the horse broke the maiden at a very competitive Keeneland meet. I think it's going to be right in the mix here, and you're getting a really nice price, I think, at 5-1.
Number 4 is Blended Citizen, Doug O'Neill. Kyle Frey is going to make the cross-country trip, so note all these things that we're saying with Tyler Bass coming over and also Kyle Frey, who's the normal jockey for Blended Citizen. This horse took a little bit of money. It was 25-1 in the Bluegrass. Finished an even 5th that day to Sporting Chance Flame Away. Good Magic, who ran a solid 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. Didn't think that was a bad performance. You go back to that 2-back race, 1 on the synthetic, and that grade 3 race at Turfway. I like the workout pattern. Doug O'Neill's done a very interesting move. He blew the horse out on April 21st, went first of 25, nice 59-2 work for 5 furlongs, and then he stretches the horse out to a mile work. Ran a mile in 141-3, and then cut the horse back to 6 furlongs. He's really trying to get some stamina into this horse. I like the price at 6-1. I think this horse is a big player, and I have the horse on top at 6-1.
Yeah, I have the horse right in the mix here. I think this horse is a huge player, as you said. Has raced against some solid horses here. I like Doug O'Neill, and I am glad you pointed out the workouts, because I was going to point them out. That's just a really interesting, a very interesting training move by Doug O'Neill.
Right, you don't normally see that
right.
in a horse. So he's obviously has a game plan of trying to get some stamina into the horse, and it's quite interesting. Not to
you touched all the basics from this horse. I agree. I have the horse right in my top 2. So I think this is a serious player. I think you're going to get a really nice price on top, and then underneath, I think this horse is very sneaky here.
All right, on to number 5, Diamond King, a horse that we believe will most likely be scratched out of the Peter Pan. At this point, looks to be running in the Preakness, but that could change. We will see. If the horse does run, is out of John Service, Javier Castellano, 7-2 on the morning line, a winner last time in the Federico Tessio, which is normally a prep for the Preakness, which is why we believe the horse will probably go. But nonetheless, if the horse does go, is an obvious contender. Ran a really nice race, beat a nice horse in Holland Park. I think both of those horses ran really credible races. We're clear of the other horses in there, and nonetheless, we'll see if the horse runs on Saturday, but if the horse does, is a player in here.
Yeah, and, with all the stuff that's going on here, obviously, we would have a horse in here that I think would be a big play, scratching out, right. Obviously.
Well, we didn't use the horse in any of our mix because we believe the horse will be scratched, but again, if the horse does go, if for some reason, plans change real quick or something, we would have this horse in our mix.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we could save this for in the future.
Our Preakness preview, as we'll probably talk about the horse again in a week. So, on to number 6, High North, going out for Brad Cox. Florence Roux is going to be aboard. 4-1 on the morning line. This horse won last time out in a stakes race, beating the likes of Ike in higher power at Oaklawn Park. Went the mile and 16th distance. Set just off with the speed. I like to see that. Got a career best 91 buyer. You have to believe this horse will most likely improve off of that as well. I like the workout pattern. The works have been razor sharp, including that workout on May 5th at Churchill Downs. To me, could sit an ideal trip. 4-1, slightly short, but nonetheless is a player.
Yeah, definitely a player here. I agree. I think it's just a really short 4-1 price here for Brad Cox, who really, he's had a very nice 2018 as well. And this horse has raced against Magnum Moon, as you said. And I thought it raced okay in the Risen Star, but we saw how those horses did the next time out. And I really, at Churchill Downs, that Grade 2 event, that was on November 25th against Entice, I thought that was a really nice effort. It was way out of that, made himself relevant coming in fourth. So just too short of a price for me to take here in this spot. But definitely, I think with the closing speed, this horse possibly have a stalking role and then show the closing speed, which I think could be dangerous. So to me, I had to leave out of my mix, but definitely I could see why people would play.
Number 7 has got to go. Ian Wilkes, 15-1 on the morning line. Chris Landeros is going to be the rider. Was really good as a 2-year-old. Broke the maiden, second start out, won the Street Sense, beat Lone Sailor and Bravazzo, who to be some very nice horses, but has not been able to put it together as a 3-year-old. Notably did have that second place performance in the Swale to strike power and also beat Diamond King, but the last 2 haven't been very good. The best one being in the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth, the 6th place performance, beaten 9 lengths. The blinkers go on, which I think may help this horse. Seems to be his own worst enemy. Possibly with the blinkers going on, this horse may be able to hit the tries and the supers, but really off those last 2, you couldn't really use.
Yeah, I didn't use in my mix for the top 3, but this horse definitely has a chance on the blinkers on, and Ian Wilkes he's really had a nice week. He's really stepped it up. He ended Saratoga extremely well, and then he ended the 2017 well, and he's right back in 2018. So I think this horse can be sneaky here. I don't have him in my top 3, but this is my long shot play. Not to give anything away, but this is going to be my long shot play here. It's got to go at 15-1.
Number 8 is Transistor. Rudy Rodriguez, Luis Size is going to be aboard. A horse that did race in restricted stakes company at Gulfstream Park, going 7 furlongs last time out. Came from off the pace, only lost that day, beaten 3/4 of a length to a couple nice horses, including Has It. I thought that was a decent third-place performance. The problem was the horse took 10 tries to break the maiden, finally did so in maiden claiming company, and then really hasn't faced the likes of anything good. But the one good thing you like in this horse has been in the money 7 times in a row, so really does like to stick around. You have to believe that the horse may like the 1.125 distance, closing the last couple races. We'll be able to see if you're going to be able to do that on Saturday, but nonetheless, 15-1 seems about right with this horse.
Definitely the right price here, and I like Rudy Rodriguez taking over the training duties here, and I think the stretch out is perfect. This horse definitely was coming sprinting, so we'll see how this horse does. Definitely it's going to have a little bit of a class test going into the Peter Pan, but definitely I think could be a long shot play here as the number 8.
There's a lot of angles you could go in this race. Who do you like here in Peter Pan?
I went 3-4-1 here. I went Just Whistle on top, Joel Rosario. I just think the race against Hofburg was just too impressive not to come back. This horse, I think, is ready for this graded stakes company. We saw what Hofburg did, was definitely ready for the graded stakes company after breaking the maiden. This horse probably following in those footsteps here. Number 4, we talked about a Blended Citizen 6-1. I think is a very, very sneaky price for Doug O'Neill. I like the workout patterns. I like how the horse raced pretty aggressively against Good Magic and Flame Away. And then I threw the 1 Core Beliefs. I think it's a very beatable 2-1 price. And as I said, gotta go is my long shot play for Ian Wilkes.
I had the same 3, just different order. I went 4, 1, and 3. I like Blended Citizen at 6-1. I like to see Kyle Frey come over with Doug O'Neill. I like the workout pattern for this horse. I thought ran a decent 5th place performance in the Grade 2 Bluegrass. Obviously, that comes up as a pretty strong race with Good Magic finishing 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. Think can really improve off that effort. And again, I like that workout pattern at 6-1 on the morning line. Underneath the number 1 Core Beliefs, another one shipping in from the West Coast. Tyler Bays is going to be aboard. Really like that maiden special weight victory. And also, the 3rd place performance to Justify really wasn't that bad, especially now that we know Justify is really the real deal. And at 2-1, to me, is just slightly short, and that's why I couldn't put on top. And then the number 3, Just Whistle, going out for Michael Madge, Joe Rosario. I like that. The horse broke the maiden in the 3rd career start, faced Hofburg, only lost by a half a length. I think 5-1 is fair enough in this spot, and I know you have on top another one to use in the mix as well. If you're looking for a long shot, I like the 8 Transistor a little bit, going out for Rudy Rodriguez. The horse has been in the money 7 times in a row. I know has been facing far weaker, but nonetheless, I think we'll like the 1.125 distance and a horse that could possibly round out your supers at big odds. So I went 4, 1, 3, and 8 in the Grade 3 Peter Pan. All right, that's going to lead us to our final break on the show. We come back, we'll take a look at the big one on Saturday at Belmont. It's the Grade 1 Man of War.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Capital TV Stakes preview as we are through 4 of 5. We're up to the big one on Saturday. It's going to be the Grade 1 Man of War, $700,000 purse. They're going to go 1 3/8 on the inner turf at Belmont. Going to mail order with number 1, Postulation, a horse that raced last time off of the layoff and an optional claimer. Finished 3rd, only beaten a half length to the likes of Wake Forest and Scholar Athlete. Both of those horses are going to be in this race. Thought that was a decent enough performance. This horse can run back to that race in the American Ledger on Arlington Million Day, that Grade 3 event. Won that race by 2 1/4. Got a 97 buyer. This horse would be a player in here, but nonetheless hasn't been able to do so. And 20-1 kind of seems fair for this horse.
Definitely a fair price here. And this horse really had no excuse last time out, I thought, to lose that race. Took a little bit of money there and was in a perfect spot on a very, very slow pace up front. So no excuse, I thought, to lose that race, but I just think it's just a little bit under. I thought it was set up perfectly, just couldn't get it done, so I had to look elsewhere.
Number 2 was Sadler's Joy, Tom Albertrani. Julian LaPeroux is going to be aboard. 3-1 on the morning line. This horse is definitely the class of the field. Been racing in Grade 1 and Grade 2 company, obviously a notable name. Last time out was the odds-on favorite in that Grade 2 Pan American down at Gulfstream Park. Didn't do much running that day. Finished 4th, beating 4 3/4. 2 High Happy, who's going to be in this spot as well, and One Go All Go. The fact, though, is High Happy is a serious racehorse. One Go All Go came back to run at Keeneland and run a really nice race. Sadler's Joy may be able to improve off that effort, third start off the layoff, and if so, 3-1 seems very fair.
Yeah, definitely a fair price. I threw the horse in the mix, obviously, but I just think the 1 for 6 at Belmont's just a little scary for me to play on top. That's where I went to a different direction, but definitely did no running at all last time and still ran an impressive race. So definitely a horse to use. Definitely a really, really nice price on Sadler's Joy.
Number 3 is Scholar Athlete, 20-1 on the morning line. Graham Motion is going to be the trainer. Trevor McCarthy is the jockey. Last time out, upset at 7-1, beat the likes of Wake Forest and Postulation, who we just touched upon. Got a 94 buyer, but again, has really only faced Optional Claiming Company high levels, and really is going up into a stiff class test here in this Grade 1 event. Should be sitting close to the pace, and I'm just not sure on the class elevation if this horse can be able to make some noise.
Yeah, I agree. I think this horse is a very nice high optional claimer, high allowance level type of racehorse here, but definitely getting a huge test today, running against High Happy, Sadler's Joy, and some of the others in this field. I think beating Wake Forest has a very nice upset win. I think Wake Forest is still a better racehorse, so that's why I had to look elsewhere.
Number 4 is Ketcho and Die. 50-1 on the morning line. Junior Alvarado is going to be aboard. Last time out, won a $40,000 claimer at Aqueduct. Got the job done by 3/4 of a length. Got a decent enough 91 buyer, but comparing it to the field and the fact that this horse is lightly raced is really in over his head at 15-1.
Definitely over its head here. I think needs to go up to an optional claiming level and then go up to a graded stakes. I think can get there throughout the career, maybe before it retires here. It's already a 6-year-old horse here, so definitely a late starter. To me, just a lot to ask for going to this Grade 1 Man of War.
Number 5 is Wake Forest, Chad Brown, Javier Castellano, 6-1 on the morning line. Another notable name, was really good a couple years ago, running in those Grade 1 events against the like of Erupt, Mondialiste, the Pizza Man. Kind of tailed off a little bit last year, but didn't really have a scheduled campaign, was a little bit erratic as far as starts goes. Did reappear on April 13th of this year, finished a solid second, only beaten a neck as the odds-on favorite to Scholar Athlete, who kind of took him wire to wire that day. I think should improve second off the layoff. 6-1 seems very fair, and Chad Brown's been winning on everything, so you have to believe this horse is going to be a player.
Yeah, I think definitely a player here. So you get Chad Brown, Javier, Michael Dubb, just 3 really well-known connections here in the Naira circuit. 4 for 5 in the money at the distance, but to me, I think just needs to improve a little bit more. Racing this race 3 starts back, racing the Manhattan 2 starts back. Second off the layoff, I agree. It's going to be a much better horse here, and probably will have a better result, hopefully, for Chad Brown.
Number 6 is Call Provision, another Chad Brown trainee. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard. This horse has been really competitive against much weaker. Did step up, though, last time into the Grade 2 Elkhorn at Keeneland, going 1.5 miles. Finished 4th, only beating a length and a quarter to One Go All Go, who's going to be in this race as well. We'll touch upon a little bit later on. I thought that was a decent enough effort for racing in the highest graded level of this horse as far as recency goes. Has been in the money 5 times at the distance in 5 lifetime starts. It's been in the money 3 times in 5 lifetime starts over the Belmont surface. So maybe an interesting horse to use. You have to like the connections in Chad Brown and Klarovich.
Yeah, you got to like those connections, and you like Jose on the grass. I think Jose on the grass, this is very hard to beat. This horse just wants nothing to do with the lead and close. There is a lot of other closers in this race. I have the horse in the mix, but I have the horse can be beatable. It doesn't get the ideal trip like it did 2 and 3 starts back.
Number 7 is High Happy, Todd Pletcher. Luis Saez, and again, you have to know Todd Pletcher is off to a really good start. 9 starts, 4 wins, and 6 times in the money. This horse really figured it out last time in the Grade 2 Pan American, just sitting off of the pace, beating One Go All Go again, who came back to win a stakes at Keeneland, the Grade 2 Elkhorn. So that only flatters High Happy. Again, I think this horse has really figured it out. I like the workout pattern of series player 5-2.
Yeah, this horse has always been in the mix. Besides that one race at Del Mar, it's been in the mix every single race. Very, very nice price of 5-2 for High Happy.
Number 8 is Bigger Picture. Mike Maker, Kendrick Carmouche is going to be aboard. 12-1 on the morning line. This horse won down at Sam Houston over the turf course, going 1.5 miles. Thought that was a decent enough effort against a nice horse in Some and Tiame. Got a 100 buyer. Has actually run some pretty competitive buyers comparative to the field, but is a little bit inconsistent. I think that's why you're getting 12-1.
Yeah, definitely a horse for the course here. This is going to be my long shot play again for Kendrick Carmouche. He's been riding extremely well on some big price horses here. A couple of seconds should have been first on some nice price horses at Belmont Park. So this is going to be my long shot play here. Has raced, as you said, against some solid horses with some big time buyers, but I think it's just going to be a little bit over its head here with some of the other big names in the race.
Number 9 is One Go All Go, going out for Charles Dickey. Chris Landeros is going to be aboard. The normal jockey for One Go All Go is going to show speed. It seems to be the speed of speed as far as this race goes, and was able to get the job done last time in that Grade 2 Elkhorn, as I touched upon down at Keeneland. Is actually cutting back in distance, which you have to like to see if you're a One Go All Go fan. 6-1. The horse just seems to run a really good race after really good race and still not be bet. If you look at the odds as far as this horse goes, has actually run second 4 times at double-digit odds, and last time won at a little bit over 9-1. Again, probably going to get lost in the shuffle again, but a serious contender to go wire to wire.
Definitely a serious contender here, and I loved how the horse got lost in the shuffle in the Elkhorn. I bet the horse to win, and you know, I know Dick Powell is really big on this horse, was big on this horse at 13-1 against Sadler's Joy and Fountain of Youth Day, so hopefully this horse stays at 6-1. I have the horse right in the mix.
Number 10 is Money Multiplier. Another Chad Brown trainee, as he has multiple horses in here. Rod Ortiz Jr. is going to be aboard, 10-1 on the morning line. This horse, to me, I've always classified as a money eater, always getting bet down, has 4 wins in 21 lifetime starts, but has been the money 13 of them. So for me, I don't have the horse in my mix, but I would use it as a little bit of a long shot player to get in there as far as the tries and the supers. Should be sitting just off of the speed. I like the effort last time out overseas in that Group 1 race. Gets back into the Chad Brown barn, and at 10-1 at least offers some value this time.
Yeah, definitely getting some value here. But to me, you know, same thing with Sadler's Joy. If I had to pick one horse that was not very good at the Belmont Service, I would side with Sadler's Joy, and that's ultimately what I did here. But could be eating my words with Rod Ortiz up, who has also been riding extremely well here at Belmont in the early stages.
All right, thoughts and picks here in the Grade 1 Man of War.
I went One Go All Go on top, and hopefully can wire the field for me again at a really nice price. Second spot, I went with High Happy, Sadler's Joy underneath that. And then I put Call Provision in the mix as well at 9-2. I think you're going to get a really nice price on Call Provision. A horse that might get lost in the shuffle with those probably big 3 names, One Go All Go, Sadler's Joy, and High Happy. My long shot I already talked about is the 8 Bigger Picture, Kendrick Carmouche on. Let's see if we can make some noise late in the race like he did two starts back at Sam Houston in a Grade 3 event.
Hey, I went 7, 2, 5, and 10 as my long shot playing here. I think High Happy is just going to be targeting One Go All Go like last time down at Gulfstream Park. I think this time One Go All Go is going to get a lot of respect in here. So I think they're going to target that horse, not let him get away. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. I like High Happy at 5-2 underneath Sadler's Joy. They're going to see an improved effort. Don't really think you saw the Sadler's Joy that we know last time out down at Gulfstream in that 4th place finish. Expect a bigger performance this time on Saturday. And then also number 5, Wake Forest for Chad Brown as well. I like the performance last time off the layoff. Second off should be much more fit. And another one to use in the mix at 6-1 long shot play is going to be number 10. The other Chad Brown in here, Money Multiplier, like that performance overseas last time out, gets back into the barn. And the horse that's run some triple-digit buyers multiple times could definitely wake up at some decent odds and be a player in here as well. All right, that was our look at the stakes action this weekend, as it's a monster weekend for Belmont. Glad to see that on Saturday. Definitely play Belmont, as they're going to have a very, very good card on Saturday. Also took a look at one at Arlington and definitely take advantage of that, as Arlington is considered probably a B track, when you're kind of classifying
Right.
tracks, but nonetheless, you can get really paid, and they have some nice multi-race wager value in there. They have their own gimmick as far as pick six goes, and also some nice